Hi, my name is Jennifer Hernandez, and I am currently the Future Education Model Program Director at Northern Arizona University. So Future Education Model Programs are the latest accreditation standard or the latest pathway to becoming a registered dietitian. And they were designed to help people who are career changers or did not get an accredited bachelor's degree in nutrition become registered dietitians. I'm really proud of our program at NAU, and I want to share with you about our program and how to become a dietitian through our Masters of Public Health. So our program is super intense and super involved because it is a Masters of Public Health in nutrition. So our program covers everything that you would typically find in a Masters of Public Health, plus everything that you would typically find in a didactic program in dietetics and a dietetic internship, all in a whirlwind of 2 years. So it is a very intense couple of years in our program, but it is so worth it. So when we look at the Masters of Public Health at Northern Arizona University, there are three concentrations under one umbrella. We have the Masters of Public Health and Health Promotion, and within that we have an Indigenous Health track, and we have our Masters of Public Health Nutrition. Now, the MPH Nutrition is the only one that leads to that registered dietitian credential. So you cannot do the health promotion concentration and become a dietitian. Now, additionally, you can't do the Indigenous Health track and the MPH Nutrition because there are no electives within our MPH Nutrition program. So when looking at our coursework, there's some overlap between our health promotion and nutrition programs where students will take epidemiology, biostats, behavior change counseling, research methods, health policy and management, environmental and occupational health. All students do a graduate project, complete some supervised practice hours, and participate in graduate seminar. Now, as I said before, there are some electives in the health promotion, but there are no electives in the MPH Nutrition. In order to be eligible to sit for the registration examination for dietitians, we have a lot of nutrition classes. And so this takes up any space that would be allowed for electives. Now, like I said, everyone does a graduate project, and what that looks like at NAU is that it can be a research project, or it can be the development of a toolkit, an intervention, a class series. We made it pretty broad because we want it to be a project that's meaningful to the student and helps them with the next step in their career. So students will find a faculty mentor, they will meet faculty in orientation and in the first semester of the program, so that hopefully in the second semester, when they take their research methods class, they have some idea of a project and a faculty mentor. In that second semester, students do take the research methods class and they write up their project proposal. Typically speaking, the work of the project takes place over the summer, although it could take place in the fall. And actually I need to change this because we've had graduate seminar in the fall, but we're actually moving it next school year to a spring course so that students will really have 4 semesters, including the summer, to work on that graduate project and get it completed. Now, because we're a future education model program, we really don't use the word internship. Our students are not dietetic interns. They're graduate nutrition students, and they don't complete an internship because internship has a very specific definition within our accrediting body. So we have supervised experiential learning that is woven into our curriculum. So students will get some supervised experiential learning through coursework, right? We have a food lab attached to our food science course. We have a clinical simulation lab attached to our medical nutrition therapy 2 course. There's also case studies and other hands-on things woven into food service management, nutrition in the life cycle, MNT1, public health nutrition. It's all throughout our curriculum. Now, the last 2 semesters of the program, the final spring and summer, there are rotations that look much more like what you would picture for a dietetic internship. So currently we have 8 weeks of clinical rotations, 5 weeks of food service management, and 4 weeks of public health nutrition. The majority of our sites are in Northern Arizona, but they are not all in Flagstaff. We have 1 major hospital and 1 rehabilitation hospital within Flagstaff, and that cannot accommodate all 12 of our students. So some of our students go to Verde Valley Medical Center in Cottonwood, Arizona. Some of them go to some Indian Health Service hospitals like Tuba City Regional Healthcare and White River Indian Hospital. Some of our food service, most of our food service is in Flagstaff, but there is the opportunity to go outside of Flagstaff if needed. And most of our public health is in Flagstaff. However, we do have a couple of sites in Phoenix, especially for those who are really interested in policy and advocacy. Now, before I leave this, I do want to talk a little bit about what do those rotations look like. Students will be working with professionals in the field, and they are going to be really learning the role of a nutrition and public health professional. So within our clinical rotation, we don't micromanage a whole lot. We just ask that students get the most well-rounded experience that they can in their site. And students will do a clinical case study presentation. So they'll pick a patient of interest and put together a formal presentation for the dietitians at the facility, and hopefully at least 1 faculty member from NAU. Within food service management, again, we want to get that picture of what is it like to manage a food service organization. So students will be doing everything from working in the kitchen, doing production, delivering meals to patients or clients, whether that is in a hospital setting, a school setting, it could be a community feeding center. Students will be doing inspections, kind of like a health inspector, reviewing policies and procedures, if possible, participating in the hiring procedure for new employees. And then in our public health nutrition, we're really looking at program evaluation and implementation. Those sites can vary anything from the Special Supplemental Program for Women, Infants, and Children, SNAP Ed, gosh, I'm blanking, Employee Health and Wellness. There's a variety of sites to choose from. Students will rank their preferences, and I or the scheduler will match students up based on preceptor availability and preference, and then the long-term goals of the student. Now, we have a lot of faculty in our program who have expertise in a variety of areas. These are just some examples of things that our faculty are working with. And so these are potential topics, again, for that graduate research project, as well as just, learning more about the role of that nutrition and public health professional. Now, to apply to our program, there are a handful of prerequisite courses. We do not require that students have a didactic program in dietetics verification statement. So students apply to our program with a variety of backgrounds, and we have had students who have been successful who have come in with nutrition backgrounds, but also without nutrition backgrounds. So our prerequisite courses include general chemistry, organic chemistry. We used to have biochem as a hidden prerequisite, so students who didn't come in with it could add it to their first semester. Students who have done that have tended to struggle, so we will more than likely be adding that as an actual prerequisite that needs to be completed before entering the program. We also require a semester of microbiology, physiology, and either a course in food safety and sanitation or the ServSafe Manager certification. You need to have taken a semester of basic nutrition, make sure you actually enjoy nutrition, and a semester of undergraduate statistics that will just help you to be more prepared when you get into the epidemiology and biostats courses in the first year. Now, we do not participate in the dietetic internship centralized application service or D&D digital matching because we are not a dietetic internship. So students will apply directly to the graduate college at Northern Arizona University. That is the only application. You will need to submit official transcripts, a resume. You're going to write a statement of purpose, why you're applying to our program, and you need 3 recommendations. So when you go into that application, it's going to ask you for the name and the email of your 3 recommenders, and then they're going to be emailed a form. You need to have 1 faculty member, 1 work supervisor, and your 3rd person can be either of those. Please remember to not use personal references. These need to be people who can speak to your ability to succeed in a rigorous graduate program and to your desire to be a dietitian. Now, we do not require the GRE, and if you submit scores, we don't look at them. I do want to point out that our application deadline is January 15th. So our application deadline is earlier than several other programs, and it's earlier than the dietetic internship general application deadline. We actually did this on purpose so that if you do have that DPD verification and you plan to apply to internships as well as our program, we will review applications, interview, and make decisions prior to February 15th. So that if you know that our program is your top choice and we accept you into our program, you'll know that by February 15th, you will have to go through with hitting submit on DICAS and paying the money to DICAS and D&D Digital. Now, let's say we're not your first choice. That's fine. Not every program is for every person. And let's say you go ahead and you apply through DICAS and then you participate in D&D Digital. If prior to the deadline to withdraw, you decide that you do want to come to us after all, you need to make sure that you formally withdraw from D&D Digital. If you stay in the match and you obtain a match, you need to accept that match. You should not, under any circumstances, decline your match to come to our program. That's just a general etiquette, because if you decline your match, then you've taken a spot from some other deserving person. All right, so back to that statement of purpose. When you write that statement of purpose, it's also called a personal statement, you are going to talk about what your career goals are and how they align with our program at NAU. You're going to talk about the things that you've done, whether that's your personality, your experiences. Those can be job or volunteer community organizations that have prepared you for a program in public health nutrition. If you are a member of an underserved community or you have experience serving underserved communities, make sure that you include that in your personal statement. So I talked about who your references need to be, and then we are going to choose about 24 people out of our applicants to interview, and expect those interviews to take place at the end of January and beginning of February. So we can only take 12 a year. We are accredited for 12, and we do our best to make sure that we have sites for 12 people, but we honestly in Flagstaff cannot support more than 12 students, so I don't foresee that number increasing in the future. When we review applications, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for that genuine interest in public health, which means that in your personal statement or your statement of purpose, you have clearly articulated that you understand what public health is and that you're interested in it. We are looking at GPA. Our program is extremely rigorous. There are a lot of classes that are crammed into 2 years. And so you do need to have a pretty good GPA for us to feel confident that you're going to succeed in our program. Now, we are going to look at the last 60 hours. because sometimes people have a rough freshman and sometimes sophomore year. So we are going to look at those last 60 hours as well as total GPA, and then of course prerequisite courses, because what if your degree was in something completely different or it was several years ago. We are going to look at your overall workload. Were you able to manage your classes, get decent grades while working and volunteering? Did you only do school? And we're going to look at that whole picture. And then, like I said, we also want to know if you are a member of an underserved community or you have experience working with underserved communities. And really, we're going to look at the applicant as a whole. We're not going to look at any one thing and only take people with good GPAs, regardless of their interests and experiences. We're going to look at that whole application package. So when we look at our program costs, the program cost is about $30,000. You can go to the NAU website and see what the current tuition is. You can also go to the grad college website and look for information about scholarships, graduate assistance, and financial aid. Within our program specifically, we do not currently have any graduate assistantships that come with a tuition waiver. Now, that may change. We have had a request for one, and so hopefully we will have 1 or 2 graduate assistantships with tuition waivers in the future. There are other programs within NAU that have provided assistantships with tuition waivers to some of our students. We also hire at an hourly rate some of our grad students to become teaching assistants. So typically this is helping with grading on larger classes. That is an hourly rate. It's definitely not going to cover your expenses, but it can at least be some additional income. Now, another thing that's not on this slide is that we participate in the Western Region graduate programs, which means if you live in, I believe it's one of 10 states in the Western region of the United States, you can apply and mark the Western Region graduate program on your application and pay in-state tuition. So you can find out more about that again on the grad page, on the grad college page. All right, so this is kind of the nutshell of our program. At this time, Britannia O'Connor is the MPH director over the entire MPH program. You can reach her with any questions at askmph@nau.edu. I am presently the accreditation director for the MPH Nutrition in the eyes of the body that determines who can become dietitians, essentially. So nutrition specific questions you can address to me, and my email is right there. So thank you very much. I hope this was helpful, and have a great day.